From the Foundation Studio right here on Biloxi's Back Bay on a super cool morning, I might add. Although it's noon time, so it was cool this morning. Welcome to SuperTalk Outdoors, where we celebrate every single Monday at lunchtime the world-class outdoors of the state of Mississippi. Because Mississippi is the capital of the outdoors in America. I'm going to write a bill and get it passed by the legislature to proclaim Mississippi as the capital of the outdoors in America, so that can go on card tags and billboards and you name it. We should make that claim. We should definitely make that claim. I'll stand toe-to-toe with anyone in the United States to make that claim. I want to thank you for joining us on the powerful SuperTalk Mississippi Radio Network or on SuperTalk TV at C-Spire TV, but you might be watching the show on YouTube or Facebook or listening on your favorite podcast. It's October the 16th, 2023. I especially want to thank the title sponsors for SuperTalk Outdoors, the Foundation for Mississippi Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. We call them the Foundation. They're the only outdoor foundation that directly supports the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. They also they're essentially a separate 501(c) nonprofit. They provide financial support for wildlife and educational projects, not just with projects associated with the department. They do some things outside the department. But they're focused on protecting Mississippi's wildlife heritage. They'll get involved with issues from time to time. They're a dedicated group of volunteer conservation leaders in the state, and they are stronger and more aligned than they ever have been. Hey, by the way, the views on this show are mine, not those of the foundation. So when it comes to the outdoors and outdoors issues, you can count on me to say what needs to be said, and I'm honored to be in this position. Hey, the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks Commission actually met on the coast here last week. I hope they enjoyed the beautiful weather down here, on the hills of cruising the coast where we've had just incredibly dynamic weather. Weather's been pretty, although, as I mentioned, it was cool this morning. I watched the entire meeting, and it was a good meeting. I want to commend all the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks Commission employees who have to present before the commission. You can tell they were incredibly prepared. There was actually one point in the meeting that suggests we've got a little bit of work to do with some of the commissioners, educating about Mississippi's long-term partnerships with Ducks Unlimited and Delta Waterfowl, and also around where our migratory birds come from. And we'll focus on that, and I think we'll get where we need to get. Ducks Unlimited, for an example, has spent $8.5 million in Mississippi over just the past 2 years, conserving nearly 20,000 acres. We're lucky to have both organizations working with us in Mississippi. They're part of the reasons why Mississippi is the capital of the outdoors in America. Now we need some rain. We need some rain bad in Mississippi. We've got food plots planted all across the state, including at the farms that I lease up in the Mississippi Delta. And boy, the story has been the incredible lack of rain. And do your rain dance, that's for sure. Went fishing yesterday. Had a great time with my grandkids. My son, they caught some redfish and speckled trout and puppy drum, and we're catching gigantic shrimp in Back Bay right now. It's pretty amazing. Hey, with all that said, let's move over to my friend Captain Sonny Schindler, who is a regular here on SuperTalk Outdoors and joins me regularly on my show on the coast, the Ricky Matthews Show. And without any further ado, how you doing, Sonny?
I'm good, man. How you been?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing really good. Fishing, man, this is a really dynamic time of the year to go fishing in coastal Mississippi, isn't it?
It's and the summer. I'm a big fan of heat. I don't fare well in cold or chilly temperatures, but even this year it got to me. So I'm. This is probably the first year I've ever been excited for the chilly mornings, and and putting on the sweaters and the jackets. I wear a lot of them, but that was a tough summer, man.
Hey, listen, I saw you recently. It was good to see you in person. Went over to visit my friend Josh Morganman, who's the top hurricane chaser in the world. If there were a Guinness Book of World Records, he would hold it. In fact, he just got back from doing a chase in Taiwan. He did a chase in Mexico. He's taking a break. I think he's headed back to Mexico for another chase. At least the models are suggesting that's going to be the case. But he's on Weather Spy with a documentary show, basically a live, sort of reality TV show of his chases. And he's also on Weather Nation. And he talks about being in coastal Mississippi all the time, especially since he's now building a house that he's going to live in during the season over in Bay St. Louis. But I got to see this, the charter docks, man. It's special there, isn't it?
It's amazing. And, it seems to get bigger and better. I know you and I were talking a little while ago about the buddy ball, fishing with buddies that Captain Ronnie Daniels with Fisherman Guide Service helps with. And man, I think we had 20 boats on that very dock, right where I saw you standing. 20 docks, probably 40 people, just some really cool kids. And, the help and the support that Rimmer and Colin and his staff gives us. Heck, Thomas Jennett even sent a boat over to work the event.
Really? That's awesome.
Man, if you can get over there next year, you ought to bring a boat over and come with us. That's probably one of the funnest days all year.
Hey, so tell people what we talked about it on my coast show, but tell people on the SuperTalk Outdoors audience what that event's all about.
Yeah, so Ronnie put, and I can't take any credit for this. Ronnie calls us and we go help, but he's the one that kind of orchestrates everything, and it's really smart. Like he does it in the afternoon, so most of our boats that worked it had to come in from either the island or fish a quick trip that morning, and then mid afternoon we all meet up, and the buddy ball group who helps special needs kids, they pair a special boy or girl with a host, and then on a boat. I had 2 this year. Last year I only had 1, and it was more the merrier for this stuff. My daughter came. This is the first trip my daughter's ever deckhand for me. She just crushed it. She did fantastic. We went and fished for about an hour and a half. And then when we come back, Shaggy's just did this huge spread of food for everyone. And man, it was nice. Going. Yeah, there's a picture of that was Miles and Lucas fishing with me. They were a hoot. They had a absolute, and the weather was perfect. I mean, it was cool, flat, calm. All the boats caught. I mean, it was really, really special.
For anyone across the state who's interested in fishing in coastal Mississippi, you can reach out to Sonny and his team. Just look up Shore, S-H-O-R-E, Shore Thing Charter, and you can just do a search for Sonny Schindler, Captain Sonny Schindler. But the charter docks that we're talking about were built pretty recently after, I think it was Hurricane. Which one was it? The last
Ida or Zeta? I always get them mixed up.
Yeah, Zeta. It was Zeta for sure. Yeah, and had tremendous damage down there, and a great collaboration between the charter boat community and Rimmer Covington, who owns Shaggy's. And so they've got boat lists for several of the chartered companies or charter boats, and it's a great area to clean fish, and it's just awesome. I mean, you can go catch fish and then go clean them and then have them cooked upstairs, all on the same day. And it's close because if some family members decide not to go, you're right there next to downtown Pass Christian, or you can go over to Bay St. Louis or Long Beach or Gulfport or Biloxi or Oceans, or whatever they choose to do. But it's really a great setup. It has a great feel to it, and it's so interesting that I got to see so many of you guys in one list, and it just so happened that Rimmer was there that day taking his sons out with your offshore captain. It was just kind of a perfect moment to be there.
Yeah, I was running a little behind. I'm sorry I couldn't hang out because your weather guy, man, that was an interesting guy, and I think I had pickup or some kind of practice for Margot, so I'm usually racing to get out of there, but. Yeah, that place is neat. Bayou Caddy's really special to us as well. But that Shaggy's dock is hopping. It's like that every day. Like when you were there, all those people coming and going. I mean, it is like that every day. just fish and food and music, and it's something neat. It's something we didn't have for many years.
Well, if you come down 49, you take that right on Highway 90, head down one of the most beautiful drives in the United States, one of only 2 in America. There's another community sort of like this one in South Carolina where you have live oak lined highway with an unencumbered view to the south. You know coastal Mississippi. But if you haven't been over to Pastor's Jan, move over to Shaggy's and you'll see where the charter docks are located. You'll be glad you did. Just the feel of it all, being on the coast, the excitement. People really enjoy being there. The captains love entertaining folks. They love talking to folks. So when we come back, we can continue our conversation with Captain Sonny Schindler. We'll see you after this break.
Mississippi.
Leading the conversation on Mississippi's outdoors. It's Super Talk Outdoors with Ricky Matthews on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. I have my friend Captain Sonny Schindler from down here in coastal Mississippi. He's with Sure Thing Charters, and we were just talking about how this is really a great time of year. I told Ann, in fact, this morning, Sonny, that we went from summer to fall like overnight. It was, and she says, I don't like it when it's so abrupt.
Right.
But it was kind of abrupt, wasn't it?
It was. The cruisers, they always get that perfect week of weather, and then it was man, I wore thermals to work the other day, just for that morning run. But I mean, it is what it is. The fish seem to like it. The fishing's been fantastic, and like you and I were talking, our water's just unbelievably clean and salty, and the big thing, the last island trip I ran out to Cat Island, as many times as we've been out there, you still see and do things that you've never done. And this last trip, the water was just crystal clear. The grass beds, it's the best we've seen them in, I don't know, 6 or 8 years. I mean, areas that we've been fishing on the bottom for the past 4 or 5 years with no problem, you can barely fish corks on them. The grass is so thick, which is a good thing. I mean, the water was so clean, you could see all the pinfish and little minnows and stuff.
Wow.
But we got on one flat, and the mullet were pushing through, and big schools of them. And you could see, and I've done this, but never done this with sheephead. We could see the sheephead coming down the beach. And on a bridge or a reef, sheephead, you're not supposed to call them stupid. You're supposed to call them curious. Yeah. They are very curious. But you get a sheephead on a flat in shallow water, and they are the most skittish, like line and hook sensitive. They are super tough to get sight fishing. And we were sight casting to sheephead in gin clear water. It was absolutely the coolest thing ever. And we caught a few redfish mixed in with them too, all by sight. It made the trip for us. It was unbelievable.
So what people, when people think of coastal Mississippi, they think about brown water because essentially you have the barrier islands off our coast, Cat Island being part of that, then Ship Island, then Horn Island, then Petty Boyce, and then on over to Dauphin Island. Inside the island, the water, I would say the water gets deepest around, let's say Ship Island, where it's 20 plus feet deep, but generally it's not super deep, and it's got a muddy bottom. And so what that means is when it's agitated, we get a lot of rain. We're very rain susceptible because rain comes down from the various rivers and whatever. And in coastal Mississippi, we haven't had a lot of rain. We're in I think Gulfport, I saw the other day, is 25 plus inch deficit. I mean, that's very significant. What that means then, and then we have these, this high that's set over us, and we have a few fronts that are starting to come through, a little windiness, and then it calms again. But man, the salinity, which the salt water content in the water is extremely high right now because they haven't had a lot of rain. And when we start talking about, let's say speckled trout, for example, someone wants to catch speckled trout. Toward the end of the summer, you're not going to get as many speckled trout. They don't like hot water. they're very susceptible. They don't like muddy water. They want the salinity to be a certain level. In other words, they like high salinity water. So the conditions that Sonny's talking about right now, as it's beginning to cool off, you have clear water, and you have salt bed. You have weed beds that are thriving. He talked about, you can see the pinfish swimming through. The image of that is. When I think of this time of year, when I think of weed beds that have where you can see the pinfish swimming through them and the water is clear, you can just literally taste the salt. If you were to taste the water, which we do, we don't have salinity meters. All we got to do is taste the water, and we can tell you we're going to catch some speckled trout. But that's the way it works, isn't it, Sonny?
Well, I mean, this is how it used to be before we started, opening floodgates and whatnot, but it was a welcome treat to see that stuff, because granted the fishing's good right now, but the after effect of what we're going to see from this big push of shrimp, because we're seeing trout everywhere we fish. There's a ton of small ones, but they're going to stay around as long as we don't have any major weather event. And here in a few weeks, months in the spring, if things stay like they are now, it's going to be something we haven't seen in probably 10 years.
I agree, man. I mean, you look at the Back Bay, whether we're talking about Bay St. Louis, or whether we're talking about Biloxi Bay or the backwaters that feed into the bays, we've got salt water getting pushed way up into the rivers and tributaries that eventually feed into the Mississippi Sound. And so what we're seeing now all across coastal Mississippi is unprecedented numbers of shrimp in areas this time of year you would not necessarily see that. Maybe you'd see some smaller shrimp, but what happens is you get a big rain that pushes all the shrimp out, and then you get to the openings of these tributaries, and you can catch a lot of shrimp. But we're catching shrimp, Sonny. I showed you a picture earlier. We're catching shrimp larger than my hand, man. I mean, you can take 10 of them and butterfly them and feed a family. This is very significant what we're experiencing right now. So it's no mystery now that you could go out in most of the backwaters of coastal Mississippi right now with even dead bait, for that matter. But certainly if you have live bait, you're going to catch beautiful redfish. You're going to catch some specks that are starting to show up. You're going to catch some drum. You're going to catch some sheephead. It's just a dynamic time of year, and you're not going to burn up.
Right. They those shrimp were so big we got the other day. I bought some that were the right size, but I just couldn't help myself. I had to throw the net while we were waiting on the people to show up. They were so big, like I had to break them into quarters just to get them on a 1/0 hook. I mean, you barely could pinch the hook through, but it worked because there's so many pinfish and croakers and little bait thieving fish out there that the big baits are what kept them kind of occupied until a big one can come by and smoke it. And we those big shrimp have saved our tails many a times, just because there's so many pinfish and little thieves out there.
Yeah, it's super dynamic. Again, it's the kind of fishing we do is very weather dependent, but that's true anywhere you go. That's going to be true anywhere you go. But the setup right now, when we worry about all the dust in the Mississippi Delta and praying for rain, we do just the opposite when we're on the coast thinking about fishing and salinity levels and clear water and specks showing up and the number of shrimp that we have. It's not just shrimp, man. Pogies and all kinds of other bait fish. I mean, I looked out over we had really low water here on the bay this morning, and I was doing a video of a great blue heron that was catching some fish in the flats. And as I was zooming in, you could see the shrimp jumping out of the water. I mean, big shrimp. They look like fish. They were so big when they hit the water, they would splash. But that was because I'm assuming that we had redfish and speckled trout up on the flats, having a smorgasbord. I mean, that's essentially what you get. But it's the best conditions we've seen in a very, very, very long time.
I don't remember. It's hard for me to remember, because this used to happen a lot, just after Katrina and whatnot. But yeah, our biggest complaint right now between our guides is there's too much bait. Like every little bay or shallow area you fish, when you go in there on the trolling motor and you make a disturbance, shrimp jump everywhere. I mean, and that's it. Look, I'm joking. I'm not complaining, because those shrimp are gold, but they are in areas and tributaries and ponds that you hardly ever see bait in, and you don't see the grass blooming and the oysters thriving and the barnacles doing great. So look, I get it. I know our folks up north need that rain, but man, we were enjoying it while we can with this drought down here. It certainly helps the fishing.
So if you're inclined and you like small tackle fishing, this would be a good time to come to the Mississippi Gulf Coast and enjoy it, and bring the family. So it's if only part of the family wants to fish and the other part wants to go shopping or just kind of enjoy the coast, this is a beautiful time of the year to come. Hey, the other thing about this time of year, Sonny, and I do this a lot, but I go out every morning and I post a picture just about every single morning on the Ricky Matthews Facebook page from my back deck. No day, no morning's the same. Every morning is a little bit different. And this time of year, as the sun sort of moves further toward the south, you get some that in the mornings, and then in the afternoons, you get some of the most beautiful sunsets and sunrises you've ever seen in your life. So this is a great time to be here. Sonny, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you, my friend. Sorry you're not on the water today.
No, I got some honeydews, man. It's believe me, I'm working.
Good. This has been Captain Sonny Schindler from Sure Thing Charters. Give him a buzz. When we come back, we're gonna be joined by my friend and someone I look forward to catching up with, Major Glen Jackson. We'll see you after this. Mississippi is kudzu walls and fall football. Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. I tell you, I really enjoyed visiting with my friend Sonny Schindler. The work that he and the charter boat community do here in coastal Mississippi, representing some of the best fishing in America and showing it to people from all over the United States. So they get a lot of clients, from local clients and across the state of Mississippi, but they have regular clients that come in from Michigan and Wisconsin, some from Canada. Man, they're doing such a great job representing. And like I said, man, the fishing has never been better for this time of year than it is right now. And if we don't get rain for the, at least on the coast, we won't rain up the rest of the state to feed our food plots. But if we don't get rain here on the coast, the number of bait fish and shrimp that are moving their way into some of the tributaries that feed into the Mississippi Sound, fishing is going to be epic. It's going to be epic. So I'm proud of our charter boat community, and I want to encourage you to give them a buzz. Come on down and go fishing with us. That's for sure. Okay, now we're going to shift gears and move over to Major Glen Jackson. We're going to talk about the first round of the MSSP qualifications and range updates and all that. But before we do that, we're just going to catch up with Glen and see what's going on in his life these days. How you doing, Glen?
I'm doing great. How you doing today?
I'm great. I'm glad to have you back, man. I really enjoy our visits here on the show. What's going on in your life these days?
Oh, well, being from Rolling Fork, we're starting to see rebuild, new construction, starting to see the final phases in the first round of houses that's being rebuilt. Some of the businesses are coming back. So everything is pretty good in my world, I think.
Well, Glen, I remember very well our conversation about your rather large family and extended family being impacted by the tornadoes that went into the lower Delta. You're from Rolling Fork. And as I said, man, it was when you have an event like that, it really brings people together. And the polarized world we live in, you got to be on that side or you got to be on that side. It kind of goes away. And, what matters is the resiliency, what's in the heart and soul of Mississippians. And what happened following the tornadoes is we got to see the best of us. And, I know this well because I had the opportunity. I was publisher of the Sun Herald. I grew up in coastal Mississippi. When Katrina hit, as you and I discussed before, I was a vice chairman for the Governor's Commission on Recovery, Rebuilding, and Renewal. I had the pleasure of writing the foreword to Governor Haley Barbour's book, America's Great Storm. In my family, 9 of 11 homes were destroyed. And in my company, 67 employees lost every single thing they owned, and some family members. So I was so thrilled to hear about your story that you didn't lose any family members, thank God, but you still had tremendous challenges, just like we had after Hurricane Katrina. And what you learn is you just adjust. The immediate impact is, how are we going to get ourselves out of this mess? And then you sort to kind of understand it and accept it. And then slowly but surely you figure it out. It's a long process, but you find your new normal eventually. And you also find a way to be thankful. And there's a lot to be thankful for, isn't there, Chris? Excuse me, Glenn.
Oh yeah. Like the most important thing, like I said, we lost a lot of material stuff, but we didn't all we had was a few scrapes and bruises, no loss of immediate family members, no death. So we're very thankful, and we know it's just a process, and eventually like you said, we'll get used to this new norm, and things will start coming back. Some maybe even better than what they were before.
Well, that's what, when Haley Barbour gave a speech to a special session of the legislature, he challenged us after Katrina. He said, and this is true of you guys, he said, what will our kids and our kids' kids say of us? Will they say that we got it, or will they essentially say we blew it? There is an opportunity when you have a disaster hit to find opportunity. He used to actually say that the Chinese symbol for opportunity was also the same symbol for disaster. It's kind of a yin yang. And in a disaster, you have to come on the other side and see there's opportunity as well. There's an opportunity to build back bigger and better. And that's the way to look at it. That's the way to approach it. And again, it may take time, but it is what it is. You accept those realities, and you find in some cases a better scenario. And I know people struggle through it. It's tough. I called it an equal opportunity destroyer in coastal Mississippi. It redefined poor people. Everyone. I don't care what your socioeconomic status was before Katrina. You needed help from government afterwards because it was just a tough situation. And you guys, I'm glad to hear you're doing well. So, Glenn, let's remind people what you do in your world.
Well, I'm a major with the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, and I'm currently like dual role. I'm a coordinator over the 3 state shooting ranges, which is in the north we have McIver around Sardis. In the central Mississippi, there's Turcotte here in Canton, and then on the coast area we have McHenry shooting facility. And then, like you were saying earlier, they are, they're really like world-class shooting facilities, and we just like to get, like, the numbers are increasing, but I think a lot of people just don't know the resources that we have here as far as shooting in the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, it is. It's special what the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks has created in those shooting facilities. We'll update you on what some of the activities are around the shooting ranges. But let's remind people, if they were to go to these shooting ranges, let's give them a sense of why we say they're world class.
Oh yeah, because especially the McIver, the Sardis facility that was partnership with Winchester. We have trap, we have sporting clays, we have towers, we have pistol ranges, multiple pistol ranges. We have rifle ranges out to 300 yards. It's just, and if you just see how they're maintained and the quality of them, and all we had to offer there, I mean, it would be hard. You would have to go to a really prestigious private club to have the facilities and the machines that we have there.
So if I wanted, if someone's not been to a facility before, certainly they can just look them up, shooting facilities with the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, and you'll see a ton of information online about them. But let's say I've got a 12 gauge shotgun, and I want to practice some clay shooting, and I also want to, as deer season's about to start, I want to check my scope on my 30-06. And so I want to bring them with me. Tell me, what the process is to get in to use the facility.
Yeah. For any other facilities, you would just you would come. They all have main offices, and then we have a electronic computer system sign in. There will be someone. There'll be a person at the front counter to check you in. You would just come to them, tell them which facility you want to use the rifle. And he'll check you in. There's a $15 fee, and for that $15 fee, for a daily fee, you can use all the facilities, all the ranges on that facility. So if you had a shotgun, if you had a rifle, or in a handgun, you could use all three. We also have archery 3D courses, which I failed to mention. So all you would do then, it would be there's always a trained range person there on that particular range to oversee safety measures. And then then there's just a novice. They also, depending on the amount of people there, they can give you some one-on-one time as far as how to properly sight your rifle in, and how safe to give you a little small safety briefing what we allow. So yeah, we really try to cater to our shooters. And if you are just a novice, you can really take advantage of some of the training. And what I failed to mention, we also have a person that actually does handgun safety courses, and you can start from the beginner handgun course, which is 6 hours worth of training. You get 4 in the classroom, and then you get 2 out on the actual range. We'll actually let you shoot some of our weapons and ammo. So if you was in the market of in the area you want to purchase a handgun, you could shoot some actual handguns and see what you like and what you don't like. And then if you could start from the basic level and go all the way up to get a enhanced carry permit right here in one facility.
You said the word novice, and what I would say is everyone who wants to sort of brush up their skills, it may be, as I mentioned, you may be getting ready for hunting season and wanting to get your scope sort of tuned in, or maybe you want to get ready for duck season and shoot some clay. When we come back on the other side, I want to remind you, and I want Glenn to help me about why we can never take safety for granted. When we come back on the other side, we'll continue our conversation with Major Glen Jackson. We'll see you after this.
Whistling that sweet soul for him. I said 3 Mississippi to this land called home. I'll breathe Mississippi till I'm dead and gone. Just carry on, I'll carry on.
Mississippi.
It's kudzu walls and fall football.
Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors as we listen to my friend Steve Azar with One Mississippi, the state song for the state of Mississippi and the theme song for Super Talk Outdoors. Hey, listen, we're visiting with my friend Major Glen Jackson. And when we went to break, we were talking about the incredible world-class shooting ranges we have in Mississippi. And one of the points that you made, Glenn, as we were talking was that if you're a novice and you want more instruction, that at each station there's someone there to help make sure the situation is safe and there to give instruction or whatever. What I would say is that if let's say you've been hunting for 30 years, I would use this as an opportunity to sort of brush up a little bit. And here's why I say that. I had a lot of conversations last year about safety, and we talked about it. I had my friend Chris Gurris on, who talked about a guest of his that was unloading a gun, and it went off and went through the wall, hit us safe, and then a piece of one of the bullets hit a friend of his in the leg, and it turned out fine, but it could have been an absolute tragedy. But too often we hear the same situation where it turns out to be a tragedy. Someone sent me a note and said that they had shot at buck. They reloaded their gun. They went to check the buck and it was dead. Okay, but they'd already reloaded their gun, and they did not put their gun on safety. So now the gun is loaded and not on safety. So they're excited about their buck. They walk over to they walk about, I forget, it's a long way, half a mile or some ridiculously long walk he had to walk to his four-wheeler. And as he was taking his gun off his shoulder, he brushed the trigger, and the gun went off, and it went off into the woods. And he was just talking about how shocked he was first of all, thank God there was nobody else riding with him, because if he had had somebody with him, this could have been a disaster. But we hear this a lot. Another guy sent me a note of a gun that he forgot to put on safety. They forgot to unload it. It was in the back of his truck. It shifted in the back of his truck and blew a hole in the side of his truck. Glenn, you hear this all the time. I don't care how much experience you get. People drop their guard, don't they?
Yes, sir. It happens all the time. And when you're saying about the person that's been hunting for 30 years, you've seen, it seems that complacency is sometimes worse than being a beginner, because you just don't take the time to take the necessary safety measures. And also, if I could, being a warden for over 25 years, the amount of hunting incidents that I've been on is something. It's like you said, having loaded shotguns in the blind, and you have the dog on a leash, and he get excited, and the leash bump the firearm fall over, shoot a young I think a young teenage male, and he lose a leg behind it. It's just the safety, the precautions that is so essential, that you take just that extra moment to make sure that weapon is either chamber is clear or the safety is on. It is so important. You can't stress it enough.
Yeah, in my little family club that I put together, the breeches have to be open the moment they leave their trucks. And then if someone finds a breech that's not open, they're supposed to immediately take that gun, take it outside, unload it if it's loaded. Even in a situation where it's not loaded, they're supposed to do this, and then let me know that there was a gun that entered the premises without the breech open. That is so critical. And again, we don't take anything for granted. Glenn, all it takes is for someone to drop their guard one time, and there's a problem. Yes, and we're trying to keep people from doing that. Okay, enough about that. First round of the MSSP qualifications. Tell us what MSSP stands for, and you had your first round in September. Let's talk about that.
Yes. This is the MSSP is the Mississippi Scholastic Shooting Program. That the pilot program was introduced in, I think, 2015. And in 2015, I think we had about seven schools and 110 shooters. And as of the numbers have steadily climbed in the right direction, because this year we went from the 7 schools to now we have 77 schools. And it's divided 32 private schools, 32 public schools, and 13 individual private clubs. In the total number of shooters we have signed up for this year is like 1,376.
Wow.
The only number that I feel that in the whole program that's not going in the right direction, and it's very small. Last year we had 105 female shooters, and this year we only have 99 female shooters. So that's the only number that if we can get that number going in the right direction with the kids, it'd be really, really impressive. And also the quality of shooters we have in this state, because most people don't know that when you finish the state shoot, there's like a little national shoot, where last year Mississippi went to South Carolina and Mississippi won the entire event. We were the top shooters in the nation from Mississippi.
This has been Major Glen Jackson from the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday.
All right, thank you.
Mississippi.